Welcome back. In the third video in this series, we will be making modifications to the level set piece we imported in the last tutorial. For now, I'm going to disable the selection of the camera. That way, when I'm over here in my 3D view, I can press A multiple times and I will not select the camera. This will come in handy when I go to export. In addition, I don't really want to see the collision right now. I want to concentrate on the main floor tile. We'll come back to the collision file or collision piece after a bit. So let's take this floor tile and let's raise this stone up and make it an obstacle that a player or NPC would have to go around. To do this, I'm going to go into edit mode and look at the top edge of this mesh. Probably use, let's do face select. Let's see. Do GZ. Oh, it's not connected. This is one thing you'll see a lot inside of the meshes we get from Torchlight, is that they are all separate meshes. I think this is to prevent the smooth shading. It can cause some artifacts that make things look goofy. So these are specifically separate so that none of the smooth shading happens. So I'm going to escape. So it's back down here. Then I'll go around and select those edges. To make this easier on myself, I'm just going to hide what I've already selected, switch into line select mode, and then select this ring at the top of this little rock. Now I can unhide those pieces. Go back to my side view or front view. And now I can stretch this up. Oh, but I still have a problem. Same kind of thing going on with the pieces below it. So again, I'm going to have to come in here. I'm going to want to hide those pieces. Switch back to vertex. And grab these little points at the top. Unhide. Now do I have all the ones I need? No, I'm still missing a couple. You can see this can be quite a pain. Sometimes I go in and what I'll do is I'll remove duplicates. And that may be a good option here. Let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to select all, W, remove doubles. Removed 52 vertices. Now the thing I'm going to want to remember to do is that once I get this where I want it, is to go ahead and split those edges again. Now that I've done that, I can go back into face select mode and pick these faces on the top. Go to my side. Make this obstacle as tall as I want it. That's fine. Note that it is stretching out the UV a bit, but I think it'll be fine for the purposes of what we're doing here. And just a straight column like that's kind of boring. So what I think I'll do is to bend this some, angle it to make it a little bit more interesting. Note that it's squishing it on my angle here. It's pushing the tops of this in. We can correct that some by scaling it along the x-axis here. That looks about right. Now we need to get this over to our collision. In order to do that, what I'm really going to do is just select this entire block. Then I will duplicate it. Yeah, I've got a duplicate now. Hit escape, it goes back to where it started. Then we want to separate it by selection. This will make it a new object that is just that little add-on. We'll use this and add it to our collision. So what I want to do is to change its material to the collision material. Now this is just temporary because we don't actually want the player to be able to walk on this. This needs to be a different type of material. But for now, we'll leave it. Then what I want to do is to re-enable seeing my collision mesh. I want to disable seeing my floor mesh. Now I want to select both of these and then join them together. Now I only have one mesh, although it renamed it for funny. So it named it whatever the I guess first one was I selected. We can undo that, and I can change my selection to go the other way. Now when I hit Control J, it makes it just a collision. So now we should figure out, how do we make our little column to not be able to be walked on? To do this, I've got my folder open to that level, and I looked up a different collision map. And if I open this with Ogre Meshy, I can see that it has some materials assigned. Now one of these is the collision stone mat, just like what we've got in our floor surface. But the other is this multi-collision no collide material. Now here it's unassigned because there's no material defined for this collision. But you can also find those up here in the materials selection inside Ogre Meshy. This is a really handy tool to have, so if you didn't download it in the first part, I recommend going and getting it now. So to continue where we are in our tutorial, we're going to set up this column that we created with this multi-collision no collide. So we'll need to make a new material slot, make a new material, name it the multi-collision no collide. And what I've found handy when working with these is, yes, it needs to be shadeless, but I change the color. I make it red so that I know that my players cannot walk on it. Now, currently it didn't change red because I haven't assigned that material to the object yet. So if I come into edit mode and then select my column, since it's all one piece there, I can just, do like that. And then what I can do is to select my material and assign. It is now red. So I know that players will not be able to walk on this. Okay, so I think we're done editing the files for now. However, these are still named after the ones that we imported, but we've altered them. Now we don't want to have conflicts with assets that are already in Torchlight. So we should give these a custom name. Rather that's, just incrementing the number, but these floors I saw went all the way up to 7. Well, if somebody else is following the same pattern, you could have 2 8s out there, and so you could have conflicts with other mods. So it's best to give these custom names, whether you throw your initials in there or something, just as long as it's a little more unique. So what I'm going to do is to come back out of edit mode. I'm going to rename this. I'll just come over here and put my initials and tut for tutorial. Then I will want to re-enable the visual for my top tile, or for my textured one. Select that, and I want to do the same thing here. So where I've named this my initials and tut, I want to put that immediately after the blank here as well. It's just a nice convention. I could put it anywhere or make it something different. Doesn't really matter, but it's just a organization thing. And you want to try and keep these things organized, otherwise you'll be scrambling to look around and find things later. All right, so I've got both of those named. Oh, but it's not been renamed here. So I will want to go ahead and make this name match. I believe this is used in, if not in this particular exporter we're messing with here, it's used in the other Ogre exporter, and so I try to make these names match. Let's go ahead and do that. Now my names all match. Now remember I said earlier that we didn't want to really have the smoothing on. Let's see if I can demonstrate what that looks like. So I believe if I come over here, shading, flat, smooth. Not really showing a difference. Probably show up better under solid. There. So there's flat. If I change it to smooth, see how it lost a lot of the detail. Well, it'll do the same thing even if it's textured, and in some cases it's easier to see than others. So we kind of want it to be flat shaded, but to get that effect inside the Ogre engine, we'll need to separate those vertices back out. Change back to texture mode. To do that, what we want to do is come down to the mesh menu, and then up to edges and edge split. Now if I select one of these faces and drag it away, you can see that it's just this one disconnected face. Press escape, push that back, tab. Now we're ready for exporting. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on modifying a level set piece. The next tutorial will cover making a preview thumbnail of our modified asset. Take a quick break and then join me for the next tutorial.